In this video, I want to show you how you can insert, delete, and update items in a CSV file. In last week's video, we covered encoding parse CSV action inside Power Automate to convert some CSV content to JSON array. Today, we want to take it to the next level. So basically, whatever the array that we have, we want to be able to do some basic actions on this array, including insert, delete, and update, and finally push the changes back to the CSV file. So it should look like we're actually going inside the CSV file and making changes on that, like record by record. If that is something that you are interested, let's get into it. But before that, if you haven't watched the last week video and your encoding CSV parser is not ready, I put the link right there. Watch that video first, and then come back here and join me for this video. Let's start with our setup. For our setup, I created the file called sample data in SharePoint. This file is a CSV file. If I open it, it looks like an Excel file. But the reality is that if I open this file in Notepad, you'll see some content like this. So pure CSV. At the moment, I didn't put any special characters or anything else like that. But trust me, with all those special characters, still works exactly the same way. So a simple CSV file with 4 fields: ID, name, age, and city. For the ID, I'm just manually entering it. How to generate this ID, I'm not going to discuss that in this video, but keep that in mind. It's CSV, so there's no way that CSV can handle the uniqueness of this ID. So that's up to you if you want to keep it unique. Regardless, this file is already on SharePoint, and we need to connect to this from Power Automate. So I go to flow.microsoft.com. I create a flow. Let it be instant cloud flow. Manually trigger a flow, and I give it a name, CSV update. There we go. I click on create, and it is created. So let's get the content of the file before we do anything. So I go for SharePoint, knowing that the file is in SharePoint. And inside SharePoint, I look for get file. So get files does not do the trick for us, but get file content is exactly what we need, because we need to see what is inside that file to parse it. So I go with get file content. I get the URL of this site. I bring it back here. So custom value, and I just paste the URL here. I give it a little bit to trim the URL, and we are all good. So then we go to the file identifier, and I pick the file from the library that the file was there. If you see, the file is in testlib01. This is the library name. So I pick up the testlib01 and I expand it. Inside it, I will find the sample data.csv. So far, we read the content of the file, and we need to process it and convert it to a JSON array before we do anything, regardless if you are doing insert, delete, or update. So I add another step here, and I look for parse CSV. And under encoding, you will find parse CSV that you already know how to work with it based on the previous video. So the content that I want is the content that I get from the file content. And right after that, I need to convert it into an array. So I add a variable, initialize variable action. All right, and I give it a name, CSV content. And I also rename the action itself, initialize CSV content. Type is going to be an array. And the content that goes inside it, if you can recall from the previous video, I go to the expression and I use a JSON function, and whatever that comes from parse CSV, I pass it to this function, and as a result, I will get a JSON array that I can work with. So far, we get the file content, we parse it and convert it to JSON, and then we convert it into an actual JSON array. Let me give it a shot. Let me just run it, and I'll show you what it brings in. Manually test and continue, run, done. So we got it. If I say initialize content, this is the content that I have, ID, name, age, city. Just for now, I get a copy of it, of one of these records, because I need it. Inside Notepad, I just paste it here. I will get back to it later. So far, our setup is done, and we are ready for the next step. Now, let's insert a row into the CSV file. If you can recall, inside this file, I have a few fields. These fields are ID, name, age, city. So if I want to insert another record into the CSV, it has to have a format like this. So let me just get a copy of it, and I bring it here. Let me add an action here. Inside Power Automate, we have an action called append to array. This one. And you guessed it, if you have an array variable, I just need to pick up this array, and I need to insert the value that I have here. All right, let me give it an ID of 5, for example. Name is going to be, instead of Ali Raza, let's make it Alice. Age is going to be 50, and the city is going to be, let's say, Mississauga. And I just save it. So at the moment, this one adds one more item to the array that I have here, which is CSV content. So let me just rename it. And I would say add item. That's it. So what comes out of it is an array that contains everything in the initial array plus a new row. Correct? So if this is the case, we successfully added one record to our array of JSON object, but we need to send it back to that CSV file. Sure, we will do that. So I click on the new step. First, this JSON needs to be converted to CSV. So if I search for CSV, luckily, create CSV table does not need any licensing or anything else like that. I click on that, and I say, get the content from CSV content. So this guy gets the JSON array and converts it into CSV. That's it. And the last step, we get the outcome from this guy and push it back to file using update file. Update file inside SharePoint. I pick it up. Again, custom values. And again, the URL. And I paste the URL here. We are good. So again, I pick up the same file, testlib01, and I pick the sample data. Now, the content that I want to push back to that file is coming from create CSV table, right? Because now this guy converts my JSON array, my new JSON array, to CSV table. Let me click on output from the create CSV table, and I just save it. All right. Now, let me get back here. You see here in the CSV file, I have 3 records. And after I run this flow, one more row should be added here. Let me just close this to avoid any confusion. I click on test, and I click on test. Run flow, done. I give it a second to complete the job. And bingo, we are done. Let's go back here and see if we can see the new value inside this guy. There we go. We have row number 5, Alice, 50 years old, and the city is Mississauga. We are done with the insert. Now let's see how we can delete an item from a CSV file. By the way, if you are enjoying this video so far, please show me some love and push that like button. This is the time. Considering that I'm done with insert, I can comfortably delete this add item from here. And we can start working with delete. Now, delete is a little bit tricky. For delete, we don't actually have a delete function or delete action that removes an item from an array. But we have filter. Let me add an action here and say, let's go with filter after the array is created. So I can click on filter array. This filter array should get the content from CSV content, and we filter it for everything that we want to keep. So my filter statement is going to be the expression. It tells the filter that the item, which refers to the current item in the expressions, dot ID of the current item is not equal to the item that we want to delete. We wanted to delete the number 3, if I'm not mistaken. So I come back here, here inside flow, and I say number 3, right? And I click on save. Right after that, it's filtered. Now I go to the create CSV table. Filter does not delete it from the original array. Now I need to get the output from the filter array and feed it to the create CSV table. So I click on filter array, the body, right? So we have an array. We filter the array for the item that we want to keep, not remove. And then whatever that the array returns, then we convert it to CSV and we push it back to the file. Sounds like a plan, right? So let me just save this again. I go back here, I close this, and right after I run that flow, this record should be gone. So let me just get rid of this page, close it basically, test, and I run it. Run now, done, and we are good, right? I am so excited to see the results. I don't know about you. Ta-da, done. If we go back here and we open the file, and surprisingly, James is still here. Where did we go wrong? That's what I want to talk about. Let's see this file content. This is the output from parse CSV, that encoding stuff. Notice that ID, although it's a number, it still encloses it in double quotes. So basically means it assumes everything that you get from CSV is a string. And look at our flow. If I come back here and I see this, I just put the number here, which assumes that it is a number. So it compares the string and the number. It doesn't find a match. All right. So if this is the case, let's convert it to string. So I get rid of this. I go to the expression. I look for string function. And I put 3 inside my string function, and I click OK. And I save it, right? Now let me close this. I come back to the flow again, save, and test. Come on. Test. Run flow, done. We wait for this guy to complete the job. There we go. Now if I come back here and I click on this guy, you see number 3 does not exist anymore, and it's gone. We are good with the delete. Do you really want to learn the update? Okay. Updating a row into a CSV file. This is the one that I love to get into. So again, I go back here, and the plan is we want to change Alice's age to 60 maybe. All right. Alice has the ID 5. So let me get back here. I go back to edit. I don't need this filter array anymore. Delete. I need the create CSV table, so I just keep it the way it is. So the plan for update is just recreating this array again. How? This way. Inside Power Automate, we have a function called select. Select basically takes one JSON array and converts it into another JSON array, right? So I pick select, get the values from CSV content. Now we have the mapping. Now I say whatever you get from here, the fields that I have is ID. Let me add more fields. Field is ID. The second field that I have is name. I just make sure it's exactly the same thing, right? Third field that I have is age. Fourth field that I have is city, right? ID is going to come exactly from the source. So the ID is going to be expression. I say whatever the item that you're processing, give me the ID of that one, right? Okay. For the name, do exactly the same thing. So again, expression, item, dot, name. Okay. For the age, it's a little bit tricky because for the age, now I want to keep the age for everything except for the one that the ID is 5. You remember this one? So here is my condition. It's a little bit of expression writing. So I say if the condition that I have is going to be item, the current item that I'm working, if the ID equals if the ID of this record equals string of 5, so this is my condition first. If it is 5, set it to the value 50 because we want to increase Alice's age. Oh, we wanted to set it to 60. Otherwise, give me the item dot age. Let me just copy everything into Notepad so you will clearly see what it looks like. I say the condition that I want to check if the ID is 5. And yes, I missed one bracket here. So this is my equals condition. If this condition is happy, return 60. Otherwise, put the content age. Does it make sense? Let me just copy it, the corrected one, and we paste it here. And I click on OK. Let's see if it is happy. Great. City, I go to the expression. Again, I say item dot city. And you should get the city from the source. Again, I click OK. And we are good to go. Let me just save it and see when it is complaining. Yes, it's complaining for this one. And now the array that we want to create our CSV from is going to be the outcome from the select, because now it produces a totally new array of objects. So I come here and I say, give me the output from select, right? And I click on save. And all of a sudden, with a click of a button, Alice is 10 years older. So let me just remove this one, close it, basically. And let's test it again. Test. Run flow, done. And we wait for that to be complete. Done. Let's get back here and see how old is Alice now. Alice is 60. And we managed to insert, delete, and update into a CSV file. Finally, if you think this is too much of the formula, then you need to look into my Master Microsoft Power Automate Expressions in 2 hours course on Udemy. Every single action, expression, formula that I used here in this video is discussed and explained in details in this course. You can simply look into the course outlines and you will find every single one of them in separate lectures. In fact, there is not much into Power Automate Expressions. That's why I think 2 hours of lecture should completely cover it, and that's what you get in this course. And if you have already purchased this course and you didn't get a chance to look into it, probably this is the time to go back to your older Udemy courses and start digging into it. If this video couldn't make you push that subscribe button, I really don't know what else could do. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.